I'm so sad that it's all over. Hello and welcome back to the channel. This video, if you can't already tell, is going to be all about the final book, book 8 in the Heaven Official's Blessing series. This video is so bittersweet to make because I'm so excited that I'm finally done with the series. I've completed everything, so now I don't have to worry about any spoilers if I go online. But I'm also so sad that I don't get any more canon content surrounding these characters. The only thing that's like stopping me from going into a full post-book depression is that there is an abundance of fan-related content about these characters and continuing different stories. That's the only thing keeping me going at this point. In my video about book 7, I said one of my biggest fears when reading this series was that one of the characters that I really like would die. Now, even though none of them did in this, aside from poor Yin, luckily I wasn't superly emotionally attached to him, but it was still very sad to read that scene. So even though none of my favorite characters died, I was very, very worried during a lot of the beginning that someone was going to die. With the book picking up right where 7 left off, just like all the other books, I was very happy to realize that Moo-ching was just being suspicious because he felt guilty, and not that he was Junwoo in disguise. He was not being controlled by Junwoo. He was not any of that. So thank God that where it was done. But then I started worrying about him again because like 5 minutes later, he's dangling over a waterfall of lava and his spiritual powers can't even protect him from that. It's just like if he was mortal, if he touches that, he's dead. And there was a lot of tension in that moment. Very well-written tension, which was great, but I was also very, very worried. Picturing the moment where Shaelian jumps, throws his sword into the ground, and then jumps again to reach the hilt of Moo-ching's sword, grabs him, tries to reel him up, proceeds to fall, barely is able to catch them, and then falls again, and then Hwa-chang jumping in after them after White No-Face pushes them off. That entire sequence was very intense in my mind. After they wake up on the Heaven Crossing Bridge in that entire scene, I'm gonna be honest, I was very much like Shaelian and I just wanted to find where Hwa-chang went. And so I appreciated it because it was like a little moment for the three to mend whatever broken parts of the relationship were still there, because obviously Moo-ching is still very hard-headed about stuff and he has his interpretations of things. But I do think, especially with the three of them talking and going through that little part together, I do think it helped resolve some issues. So that was a very nice scene, but I desperately wanted to figure out where Hwa-chang went. And luckily it doesn't take long, and then we find White No-Face and Hwa-chang are facing off, and I did not know that I desperately wanted to read about two Ghost Kings fighting each other. Seeing that they were evenly matched, I was quite impressed, because with White No-Face being like the original and then Hwa-chang being like a newer one. Is he the youngest? I'm actually not sure. But seeing that they were evenly matched, I was worried because there were so many people around that I was worried like he could take Shaelian hostage or something. Like there was just so many things running through my mind. And then of course Shaelian, instead of just standing back like he probably should, he decides to jump in after White No-Face turns back into Junwoo and grabs his sword and is in his domain. Shaelian doesn't have a weapon. I should have expected that from him. The only thing that kept me calm while reading about that is knowing that he can't die, his body is immortal, but I was worried because he's got the cursed shackles on him, and after seeing what happened to Yin, I'm just like, he could do the same thing to Shaelian, and also he doesn't have a weapon. So, like, he can defend with his hands, but that can only do so much, right? He has Rui, but Rui can't do a whole lot right now. And I was really worried that even though he couldn't die, he could still get gravely injured. I kept getting flashbacks to the temple of him getting stabbed 100 times. Not pleasant thoughts of how bad this outcome could be. One of the saddest moments in this book for me that's not involving a character being on the brink of death is Rory snapping in half, the fabric ripping. I'm a very sentimental person, so just seeing that from the spiritual weapon that I really have liked throughout this entire series, that was unreasonably sad for me to read. Like, I want in the comments, please tell me on a scale like 1 to 10 how sad you were reading Rory rip, and because I need to know, am I alone for that being like a 10 for me? Like, I was so sad. And like after that, it seemed like everything just went downhill, and I don't know how Hwa-chang did it. I know that he will literally do anything for Shaolin, and that apparently includes just standing there and watching him just get bashed into a wall by Junwoo. But I don't know, that takes a lot of strength. I was very surprised he didn't step in. I was waiting for it. But seeing Shaolin kinda lose it, I just, with him laughing and like screaming that he won't change, I kind of read that as him going crazy. Like, I pictured him like, I don't know, kind of losing it. I don't know, it made it more dramatic for me. But seeing that, like, his ability to fight stayed, Hwa-chang breaking his shackles, I was not expecting it. Like, that was probably the last thing that I expected to happen in this fight. Like, during this fight, when we went into it, I'm just like, this is the final fight, and Shaolin is, through the power of love, going to figure out a way to beat Junwoo. I should have expected something with the cursed shackles, but pumping enough spiritual power into someone to break the shackles was not on my list. That entire fight scene was super intense. And then seeing Junwoo lying there on the ground after being stabbed through and crushed by the rocks, and his state preceptor being there and being like, I'm gonna stay by his side. Just like, oh, wait, this is getting sad again. Like, you feel for him a little bit. And of course, one of the saddest moments in this entire thing, and that's saying something, because like for a while I thought Muqing and Fengshen were going to die, because like Fengshen has a bunch of arrows in his chest and Muqing is like getting crushed by his cursed shackle, and like they're getting pulled up by the state preceptor from the lava. Like, all that happened and I was worried, but I was never as sad as the moment when Hwa-chang started to disappear, and that seeing Shaolin react so emotionally and be so upset and like finally start to accept his feelings and just break down. I was so sad reading that. And I kept going, he has to come back, right? Because he can't be dead. His ashes are still here. So, and I was like, where does he respawn somewhere? Like, I didn't know what to expect. I'm just like, oh my god, does he start out as a little flame spirit, a ghost fire again, and does he have to like go through all this stuff again? Like, I was like, oh my god, how long is this going to take before they find each other again? And then reading about the rebuilding of heaven, I just had like this thought in the back of my head, like, where's Hwa-chang? And then there was multiple parts that I was reading that they would say like, oh, someone's here, and then like the reveal of Lingwen was one of the main ones. It's like, oh, come look, and I'm just like, oh, they found Hwa-chang. They found him, and he's coming back to get him, and it was Lingwen. Granted, that part was really funny, and I like that they brought her back just to do the work. I thought that was hilarious, and I've seen a lot of like fan art of that scene. It was very cute, but I was so sad because I was desperately wanting it to be Hwa-chang. And then when it read about Shaolin pulling an ox cart and the maple leaves and everything above him, And then he saw the lanterns, and it was the ghost festival. I'm just like, this is the night that he comes back. It is symbolic. It is metaphorical. This is like their 2 first meetings happened on this night, and now their 3rd one is gonna happen on this night. Picturing them running to each other to meet again was, I really, really want to see this entire series get a donghua series, like, season, because the first 2 seasons I thought were great. I love that I can read through these and picture it like a movie, and then see the interpretation of the animators and see what it would look like on a screen. Because of course I picture stuff differently. The main thing is I don't picture the people all looking how they do in the book, and then I see an illustration and I'm just like, you are not how I pictured you. Which means that after all of this I need to start reading the manhwa. That's on my list. That is on my list. But I really, really want to see them reuniting in book 8 in an animation form. I want to see it animated so badly. So luckily after that, Shaylan's not isolating himself anymore, and we get the scene where, God, I need to take Mandarin lessons because I don't know how to say the shrine's name. Fuchi Shrine? Someone please help me. I'm trying my best here, but I don't know how to speak any Chinese at all. So seeing that the residents of the village, the little town, built up the shrine by themselves because of all of the impact that Hwachang and Shaelian had on them, that was just such a moment of look at what's happened. Like, throughout the series you see Shaelian in the shrine, he's helping people, he's doing his best, and you see that the people really took that to heart and they wanted to help him after his shrine got destroyed a few books back. It was just such a sweet moment. It made me feel like sentimental and stuff. And then I feel like from the reuniting at the shrine scene on, the book starts to get a little more unhinged. Because like throughout this entire book, I'm sitting here thinking, I've been told that this is like a super tame book, so like there's like tension in it, but like that's as far as it goes. And then I was very wrong. There's nothing explicit in the book, but reading about how thirsty Hwachang is was very funny. I thought I was only gonna read about that stuff in like online, in like fan stuff, but reading it in the official book was very funny. I know the page number exactly because it took me forever. I was reading through it, and when Heaven's Eye is like, the evil chi is inside you, and they're all just like, are you okay? Top line of page 160 for the English translation version. It took me 10 minutes to get through it because I kept trying to read it. They started laughing. I had to close it. That happened a lot throughout the rest of the book. Whenever some insinuation of their sex life would come up, for some reason just the wording that they used for it made me laugh. So I had to take breaks. So finishing the book actually took me a lot longer than I anticipated because I had to keep taking breaks because I was laughing so much. The end of like the actual book was actually super sweet, and then I kept being told that the bonus chapters were some of the people's favorite parts of the book. So I was anticipating those. I was ready. I kept seeing stuff for the amnesia chapters, so I was like super excited for that. I'm just like, what happens? Because I knew that amnesia was one of the things and that the birthday thing existed, but I had no idea what actually happened in them. So the first one, I thought that we were back in the past. I'm just like, oh no, are these going to be like scattered? I thought that they were all like post the end of the story, and I was so sad. I'm just like, no, Shaelian like doesn't have anyone to like eat this special food with, and he used to eat with his parents, but he didn't like it, and now like he's seeing these people, like this family, eat it together. It's like, no, I'm like so sad. And then having Hwachang there to eat it with was like so sweet in that chapter. And then I love the ghosts of Ghost City. They're awesome. Tricking him into saying my husband Hwachang, and then Shaylin going, oh, I knew it wasn't you because you would have me say Sanlang. And then he tricks him into saying it. I think that was such a good chapter to like start the bonus chapters with. And then we get to the amnesia chapters, which honestly, they might also be my favorite. Seeing Hua-chang just screw with Shaylin for like 3 chapters was so funny. Having him call him Gaga and like tricking him and being like, oh yeah, just come back to my place, and just gaslighting him this entire time. It was so funny. And I've seen so many stories already to where they flip it and it's Hua-chang who has amnesia, and any variation of that is just so funny. And so I definitely think that the amnesia chapters are my favorites. The bedtime story one was so unhinged. There was so much random sex in it. It took me probably the longest to read that one because I kept laughing. That was probably the longest one, honestly. That was probably my least favorite because I just liked the other ones more. The fact that Hua-chang made statues of like every, I guess, significant moment that happened in their lives was interesting. Why did he have to make one of the Land of the Tender incident? And then his first idea was to make him so he could help him. I don't know the logic behind all that, but sure, like I get it, but why is that the first thing you think of? That entire thing, I was just reading and I was just shaking my head, and I felt so bad for Mooching. So that one was interesting, but it's probably also down there with the other one. I didn't play it over in my head after I finished reading it. And then finally was the birthday chapter, and this is probably my second favorite one. Seeing Shaylin try so hard to get something like sentimental from the heart for Hua-chang for his birthday because he didn't really celebrate it before, and working with the ghosts. Man, I love the ghosts. They're like such a good supporting cast. And seeing him go to the lengths that he did to get the present, and then he was in so much pain and he was like, I just need to get through his birthday and then I can figure out what's wrong. And seeing him so upset that he couldn't, and like everything that he went through, and then Hua-chang being like, you said that you want to be by my side even if it hurts you. Like it was so sweet. I really liked that one. So that, I think, was definitely my second favorite one. Overall, these chapters were really fun. I would love to know which chapter you guys found to be your favorite. Mine was definitely the amnesia ones. I want to see how many people agree, because online I saw a lot of people saying that one was their favorite. But yeah, I think that is basically all of my thoughts. I think I've gone through like all of my notes for this. It was great. I easily gave this one 5 stars. I'm so sad that it's over now, but I loved this book so much. I love this entire series so much. I think I even want to do a video just talking about my thoughts on the series overall, because each of these videos was dedicated to one book at a time, and so I think I'm gonna try and do that one later, just to kind of gather all my thoughts. I do at some point, I don't know, a few months, maybe a year, I'm not quite sure, just depends on how time works out. I do want to do a reread of this entire series because I have gained a lot of information from book 1 to book 8. I have gotten the names better, they're more clear, my pronunciation of them is still bad, but they improved. I think I was saying like Shaylin or something in the beginning. I'm so sorry. I don't know Chinese. I keep telling myself I really should start it on Duolingo, but right now I'm learning Japanese on it, and I think my brain would explode if I tried to do both. So yeah, that is basically all of my thoughts for this one, and you're going to do a thing for me, so come here. So that's basically all of my thoughts for this book, and I would love to know your thoughts. So I want to know, like, what was your reaction to Uri getting ripped in the fight, which bonus chapter was your favorite, and like I guess if you have a favorite scene in this. Like there's just so much good stuff that happens in this book. I would just love to know people's thoughts on it. I love talking about this series now. And so yeah, that's basically it. So thank you for watching. Yeah, like I said, leave in your comments. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Did I leave something out that you want to talk about? But yeah, so thank you for everyone who watched. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye guys.